Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 7 o'clock main news. In tonight's headlines, Israel launches an airstrike in Gaza in the first such action since the declaration of a truce in August. Kurdish forces are on the offensive and determined to secure the significant gains recently made against the IS in Sinjar Mountains. Pakistani security forces have attacked Taliban positions in 2 operations near Peshawar, killing 5 militants. And Russia says it will not cave in to economic pressure following a fresh set of US and EU sanctions over the conflict in Ukraine. Under the patronage of His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah, the 21st Waqf Forum will kick off tomorrow. The forum is organised by the General Secretariat of Awqaf. On behalf of His Highness the Crown Prince, the Minister of Justice and Minister of Awqaf and Islamic Affairs, Yaqub Abdel Mohsen Al Sani, will inaugurate the opening ceremony at 9:45 a.m. at the Marriott Courtyard Hotel. Israeli aircraft have bombed a site in Gaza in the first such action since the declaration of a truce in August. The Israeli military said the airstrike was carried out on a Hamas facility in response to a rocket fired earlier from Gaza. Residents of Khan Yunis area in Gaza reported hearing 2 explosions. The rocket struck an open field and didn't cause any casualties or damage. The August truce ended 7 weeks of fighting that killed more than 2,200 people, most of them Palestinians. Sporadic clashes between Kurdish fighters and IS militants broke out in the Iraqi village of Qasr Rij, further delaying the evacuation of the last Yazidis still trapped on Sinjar mountain. This comes as Iraqi authorities said that bombs targeting commercial streets and an army patrol have killed 10 people around Baghdad. More details in the following report by Hiba Abdurrahman.
The Kurdish forces in northern Iraq are claiming their biggest victory yet against IS militants. They said they have broken the IS siege of Mount Sinjar, where thousands of Yazidis and other displaced Iraqis have been trapped since August. The Peshmerga fighters managed to open up a corridor to the mountain following a massive 2-day military operation. The corridor was freed thousands of people from the country's Yazidi minority. Meanwhile, the Pentagon's top officers said that U.S. airstrikes have killed several high-ranking military leaders of IS in Iraq. The Kurdish offensive against IS forces besieging Mount Sinjar began early on Wednesday with the most intensive round of airstrikes yet by U.S. and coalition forces, 45 in all. The development was an incremental step in the battle to retake the town of Sinjar at the foothills of the mountain by the same name. The IS group captured large swathes of territory in western and northern Iraq in a blitz area this year, plunging the country into its worst crisis since U.S. troops left at the end of 2011. The attack on Sinjar was one of the reasons the U.S. began airstrikes against IS positions in Iraq in August. It expanded its air campaign into Syria the following month. Meanwhile, police officials said that a bomb exploded on a commercial street in the town of Madin, about 20 kilometers southeast of the capital, killing 4 people and wounding 9 others. Police officials said also that a bomb blast near shops killed 3 people and wounded 11 others in the northern Baghdad suburb of Taji. Moreover, a roadside bomb struck an army patrol in the western suburbs, killing 3 soldiers and wounding 6 others.
EU High Representative Federica Mogherini will travel next Monday to Baghdad, where she will be meeting Iraqi President Fuad Massoum, Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi and Foreign Minister Ibrahim al-Jafari. She will also meet with the Speaker of the Council of Representatives, Ibrahim al-Jabouri. Mogherini will send a message of solidarity and confirm the EU's readiness to deepen the relationship with Iraq. The EU has provided €20 million in humanitarian aid and is already implementing development projects in Iraq. Before leaving, Mogherini will visit a refugee center where she will meet with families and children hosted by the center. African leaders have urged the West to intervene in crisis-hit Libya and prevent instability from spreading across the neighboring regions. Speaking at an African Security Summit in Senegal, leaders from Libya's neighbors called on NATO to help stem the flow of weapons to armed groups in the region. Fighting between forces loyal to Libya's Western-recognized Prime Minister Abdullah Athini and self-declared extremist groups threatens nations including Chad, Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso. Libya has been embroiled in political infighting and violence, with two rival governments trying to fill the political void in the country. Two Pakistani security officials said that a U.S. drone fired two missiles at militant hideouts in northwestern Pakistan today, killing at least 5 Taliban militants. In a separate operation, the military said Pakistani security forces killed 5 terrorists on the outskirts of Peshawar, where the Pakistani Taliban carried out a school massacre earlier this week, killing 141 people, mainly children. The drone strike took place in the town of Data Khel in North Waziristan, where Pakistani troops have been carrying out a major operation against local and foreign militants since June. An official said the men killed in the drone strike fought under local Pakistani Taliban commander Hafiz Gul Bahadur, but it wasn't immediately clear if the drone strike was connected to the school massacre. U.S. President Barack Obama has ordered a ban on the export of goods, technology and services to Crimea. The executive order also imposes new sanctions on Russian and Ukrainian individuals and companies. Obama said the move showed the U.S. would never accept Russia's annexation of Crimea in March. Similar measures agreed by the European Union against the region through all kinds of investment, as is participation in Russian oil and gas exploration in the Black Sea, and European cruise ships will not be able to visit the peninsula's ports. Meanwhile, Russia said it will not cave in to pressure following a fresh set of US, EU and Canadian sanctions over the conflict in Ukraine. The final phase of polling in Jammu Kashmir's regional election began today amid tight security. In the 5th phase of voting, regions including the city of Jammu went to the polls. The elections were being held in 5 stages to allow government forces to better guard against any violence or anti-India protests. The multi-stage voting will elect a local government, a chief minister who will serve as the state's top official, and a council of ministers. The previous 4 phases of voting had higher voter turnout despite a boycott called by separatist groups who reject India's sovereignty over the disputed Himalayan region. The Secretary General of the United Nations praised health workers battling Ebola in Sierra Leone and told them he will continue to fight the deadly disease. Ban Ki-moon visited an Ebola treatment centre in Hastings near Freetown, where he met with medical staff and Ebola survivors. He also discussed the situation with Ernest Bai Koroma, the president of Sierra Leone. In a joint news conference with Koroma, Ban said the international community would continue to support Sierra Leone in its bid to eradicate the virus. Ebola has infected more than 18,600 people, and more than 6,900 of them have died, the vast majority in Sierra Leone, Guinea and Liberia. A 5.9 magnitude earthquake has hit Honshu, Japan's largest and most populous island. No tsunami warning is in place for the quake, and there are currently no reports of casualties or serious damage. The earthquake has shaken the Fukushima nuclear power plant near Iwaki, where 3 nuclear reactors went into meltdown following a 9.0 magnitude quake in 2011. Tokyo Electric Power, or TEPCO, which owns the plant, has said no irregularities have been found at the site. North Korea has offered to hold a joint inquiry with the United States into a cyber attack on Sony Pictures, strongly denying U.S. claims that it's behind it. The North Foreign Ministry accused the U.S. government of spreading groundless allegations and said a probe would refute the allegations. The attack and subsequent threats against cinemas led Sony to cancel the release of the movie entitled The Interview. The plot of the movie includes plans to assassinate North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un. The Interview had been due to open on Christmas Day, but Sony said it was considering releasing it on a different platform. The FBI said yesterday that Pyongyang government was responsible for the cyber attack last month, in which script details and private emails were leaked. For a chance to see our reports again, please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. And to recap tonight's news, here are the headlines once again. Israel launches an airstrike in Gaza in the first such action since the declaration of a truce in August. Kurdish forces are on the offensive and determined to secure the significant gains recently made against the IS in Sinjar Mountain. Pakistani security forces have attacked Taliban positions in 2 operations near Peshawar, killing 5 militants. And Russia says it will not cave in to economic pressure following a fresh set of US and EU sanctions over the conflict in the Ukraine. Thank you for joining us.